Please tell me Mr. Ramos is not replacing me as Dr. Doom via Parker Robbins. Is there something you're not telling me? Anyway, I don't want to step on your interview.
Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame, Bob.
Spider-Man after Spider-Man Brand New Day will not be in the Avengers film at all. They will not mention him, he's not going to show up, and Tom Holland will not be in the film at all. Details on the clash that happened between two actors on the set of Avengers Doomsday have hit the net, and people believe that they figured out who one or two of these actors might be. One seems to 100% be Robert Downey Jr., but who's the other one? Well, we might know. They're speculating.
Or keep sinking like a stone at the box office. But the real problem for Disney is that their next big bet, Avengers Doomsday, is mired in production trouble behind the scenes, of the kind that is giving Fantastic a run for its money. Kevin Feige is in other words up a creek without.
Please tell me Mr. Ramos is not replacing me as Dr. Doom via Parker Robbins. Is there something you're not telling me? Anyway, I don't want to step on your interview.
On the clash that happened between two actors on the set of Avengers Doomsday have hit the net.
It's growing fast that Robert Downey Jr. is having trouble on the set of his new Avengers film with Ryan Reynolds.
Or keep sinking like a stone at the box office. But the real problem for Disney is that their next big bet, Avengers Doomsday, is mired in production trouble behind the scenes, of the kind that is giving Fantastic a run for its money. Kevin Feige is in other words up a creek without a paddle.
Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame.
And after Spider-Man Brand New Day will not be in the Avengers film at all. They will not mention him, he's not going to show up, and Tom Holland will not be in the film at all. Now, in regards to why, it seems like that it's more or less because the film doesn't want to account for him, and they didn't want to have a giant mess behind the scenes trying to alter filming.
Report. Now, the tension between the two of them, that's where things get a little wonky. Now, this tension actually came from Jeff Schneider, who he has his own site. I have a history. I don't always believe his stuff, but he has gotten some scoops right. He is one of those scoopers out there, reporters. It's not always into the...
So the newest update shaking Hollywood today is that Ryan Reynolds has reportedly told Disney executives, "I won't play with him anymore," drawing a direct line in the sand against Robert Downey Jr. on the set of Avengers, Doomsday. And from an industry critic's perspective, this is the exact nightmare Disney wanted to avoid. Because if you study Marvel's last 5 years, you see the same cycle. A bloated project like Ironheart stalls, a risky bet like the Acolyte fizzles, and a nostalgia-driven reboot like Fantastic Four fails to generate momentum. Now the studio is repeating every single one of those mistakes at the scale of their biggest Avengers movie yet. The stakes couldn't be higher. This film is already stacked with dozens of heroes and crossovers, from the X-Men's return to the Fantastic Four's debut, and yet it all comes down to whether two A-list stars can even share the same set. Reports say Downey forced 3 weeks of refilming by rejecting his Doom stand-in, while Reynolds grew frustrated watching time, money, and energy drain away. Fans who remember his 11-year battle to bring Deadpool to life understand why he's furious. This isn't just about ego, it's about principle. And here's the problem. Disney has already bent the knee to Downey, siding with him when disputes came up, but that leaves Reynolds, the star who literally delivered Marvel's only box office win in years, feeling expendable. So if this ultimatum stands, Disney may face the worst PR headline imaginable. Marvel loses Deadpool just to protect Downey's ego. And in today's climate, where fans are hyper-aware of studio politics, even the suggestion of that outcome could sink the hype around Doomsday before the first trailer drops. And the real centerpiece of this drama is Robert Downey Jr. himself. Disney didn't just bring him back for a nostalgic cameo, they handed him one of the most critical roles in the entire saga, Dr. Doom. For many fans, that casting felt like the ultimate pivot, turning the face of Iron Man into Marvel's most iconic villain. But behind the curtain, Downey's return came with a price tag that raised eyebrows even in Hollywood. Industry chatter put his deal somewhere in the $50 to $60 million range, making him one of the most expensive single contracts Disney has ever signed for a Marvel project. That kind of financial weight translates into power. Reports from the set suggest Downey wasn't content to simply lend his voice or stand behind a CGI mask. When Marvel initially experimented with body doubles and stand-ins for Doom, Downey reportedly rejected the footage after 2 to 3 weeks, demanding reshoots with him in the suit. Just think about what that means. Tens of millions burned, production delays piling up, and schedules thrown into chaos, all because the star decided the footage wasn't good enough. To a studio already bleeding from projects like the Marvels and Eternals, this is the exact kind of indulgence they can't afford. And yet, they allowed it. Disney approved the reshoots, shifted production schedules, and kept Downey front and center, signaling to everyone on set who held the real authority. For Ryan Reynolds, a man who built Deadpool's success by thriving on constraints, this must have felt like déjà vu of the worst kind. He had spent over a decade proving that creativity could win over big budgets, and now he was watching the biggest Marvel gamble in years buckle under one man's whims. But if you think that was the end of it, you'd be wrong. Because the clash between Reynolds and Downey wasn't just about money or scheduling, it became something far more personal. What really set the internet on fire wasn't just the reshoots or the bloated budget. It was the whisper of a direct confrontation between Ryan Reynolds and Robert Downey Jr. According to insiders, the spark was something almost trivial, a joking remark on set that went too far. For most productions, that would have been brushed off, but in this pressure cooker environment, it escalated fast. Crews described the tension as rivaling the infamous Diesel versus The Rock feud on Fast and Furious, with Marvel scrambling to reshuffle filming schedules just to keep the peace. And here's where the optics get dangerous. When studios start moving scenes around to avoid putting 2 actors in the same room, fans notice. Scoop accounts lit up almost instantly, claiming Marvel had offered to shoot Reynolds's and Downey's scenes separately, or restructure the script entirely. If true, that would mean Marvel was willing to burn millions simply to protect Downey's comfort level. For Reynolds, who was brought in precisely to stabilize the MCU after a string of flops, that must have felt like a slap in the face. Fans online quickly connected the dots. Memes painted Downey as untouchable, while Reynolds was framed as the expendable newcomer. Ironic, given Deadpool's last outing had earned Marvel its only true blockbuster in years. The phrase that allegedly came out of Reynolds' mouth, "I won't play with him anymore," spread like wildfire. Whether exaggerated or not, it gave the perception of a deep rift. And in Hollywood, perception often becomes more damaging than fact. But here's the bigger issue. This wasn't just about 2 actors clashing. It exposed Marvel's deeper problem. A studio so desperate for short-term star power that it risked sidelining the very character meant to carry its future. The reason this rumor exploded isn't just because fans love drama. It's because the conditions around Avengers, Doomsday, made it believable. Marvel's track record over the last few years has been a string of missteps. The Marvels struggled, Eternals became a cultural shrug, Brave New World has been delayed repeatedly, and the Fantastic Four reboot is already facing skepticism. Against that backdrop, whispers of dysfunction on Marvel's biggest gamble yet didn't sound far-fetched. They sounded inevitable. And then came Disney's silence. Normally, studios rush to quash headlines like this. But here, nothing. No firm denial, no reassurance that Reynolds and Downey were working smoothly. That vacuum let speculation spread unchecked across TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. Fan accounts dissected every production leak, every Instagram tease, every offhand remark from actors. When Chris Hemsworth hinted he might have already wrapped as Thor, fans linked it to the chaos. When Anthony Mackie joked about how enormous the Doomsday cast had become, it was read as proof of disorder behind the scenes. Social media thrives on connecting dots, even when the picture isn't complete. Reynolds' cryptic Avengers, a logo post? Suddenly, that became evidence he was signaling discontent. Downey's casual humor in interviews? To some, it looked like arrogance. Whether those interpretations were accurate didn't matter. The narrative was already alive. And in today's fandom economy, a narrative can be more powerful than the truth itself. Disney's decision to stay quiet only deepened the perception that they were protecting Downey at all costs. And that perception, of one actor being untouchable while another is treated as expendable, is exactly what fueled the Reynolds out if RDJ stays firestorm. But what does this mean for Marvel's long-term future? That's where the stakes start to get even more dangerous. If there's one reason this feud rumor matters more than any other, it's because of Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds isn't just another A-lister Marvel can slot in and out of the machine. He's the lifeline that proved audiences still care. Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't just a win. It was Marvel's first undeniable box office triumph after years of diminishing returns. For a studio reeling from losses on the Marvels, Eternals, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, that kind of victory is priceless. And yet Reynolds has always been protective of what Deadpool represents. From day one, he made it clear that Wade Wilson was never meant to blend neatly into the Avengers lineup. He was the outsider, the commentator, the anti-hero who mocked the system rather than joining it. Forcing him into a crowded ensemble like Avengers, Doomsday risks stripping away the very thing that made him successful. That's why fans immediately latched onto the idea that Reynolds might push back, not just because of Downey's influence, but because the project itself threatens to compromise Deadpool's identity. The irony is staggering. Reynolds fought for over a decade to get Deadpool made, even leaking the test footage that finally convinced Fox to greenlight the film. He built the franchise on constraints, tight budgets, edgy humor, and creative freedom. Now, after delivering Marvel its only genuine win in years, he's watching as corporate indulgence and star favoritism dictate the future. To an actor who built his empire on defying those odds, that feels like betrayal. And if Reynolds truly meant it when he said, "I won't play with him anymore," then this isn't just about an ego clash. It's about an artist refusing to let his creation be swallowed up by the same machine he spent years fighting against. But here's the danger. If Disney fumbles this balancing act, the fallout could extend far beyond one feud. It could reshape the entire future of the MCU. What makes this situation truly dangerous isn't just the rumor itself, but the timing? Avengers: Doomsday isn't a side project. It's the film Marvel has positioned as its ultimate comeback. The release date, December 2026, was circled on calendars years in advance as the movie that would reset the franchise, unify scattered storylines, and prove the MCU was still king of the box office. And yet, instead of momentum, what fans are hearing about is dysfunction, reshoots, and a clash of egos that could derail everything. Think about the scale for a moment. This isn't just an Avengers movie, it's a sprawling crossover meant to bring together the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Wakanda, Doctor Strange, and Deadpool, all under one banner. The live cast announcement drew hundreds of millions of views, proof of just how much the audience still craves that level of spectacle. But the larger the ensemble, the larger the risks. When too many A-listers collide, production becomes less about storytelling and more about managing egos, budgets, and contracts. That's exactly what industry insiders are worried about. The cost of Downey's return alone rivals entire ensemble casts, and every reshoot drains tens of millions. Add in Chris Hemsworth reportedly rapping as Thor earlier than expected, Anthony Mackie joking about the absurd size of the cast, and skepticism already swirling around Fantastic Four's rollout. And you start to see a troubling pattern. Marvel isn't leading with story anymore, it's clinging to star power. And here's the blunt truth. If Reynolds walks, it won't just be another bad headline. It will be a symbol of Marvel losing its future to protect its past. If Downey walks, the optics are just as damaging. Marvel pushing out the face of its golden era. Either way, Disney finds itself cornered, risking billions on a film that could implode before fans even see the first trailer. But the most unsettling question isn't about Reynolds or Downey. It's about whether Marvel still knows how to make these stories work, and that's where the final piece of this puzzle comes in. If you want to understand why this rumor has shaken Marvel so deeply, just look at the fan reaction. The moment whispers of a Reynolds-Downey clash surfaced, social media went into overdrive. Reddit threads filled with debates over who was at fault. TikTok edits painted Reynolds as the underdog standing up to corporate favoritism, while memes crowned Downey as untouchable, the actor Disney would never dare to challenge. Even YouTube exploded with breakdowns, with speculation videos racking up millions of views in days. And here's the critical point. In today's entertainment world, perception matters more than press releases. It doesn't matter that multiple outlets have stressed there's zero bad blood. Once the narrative is alive, fans treat it as truth. And that truth now says Marvel is fractured. That Doomsday, the movie meant to unite the MCU, is already split down the middle. For Disney, that's catastrophic. Because beyond the star drama, the studio is facing audience fatigue. Projects like Eternals and the Marvels didn't just underperform financially, they failed to capture the cultural energy that once defined Marvel. The MCU used to be the cinematic event of the year. Now fans openly wonder if it's collapsing under its own weight. And that's what makes this feud rumor so explosive. It isn't just about two actors clashing. It's about fans recognizing the cracks in Marvel's foundation, bloated casts, endless reshoots, and a studio that seems more desperate to relive its golden era than invest in the future. So the question isn't just whether Ryan Reynolds will stay or go. It's whether Avengers Doomsday will be remembered as the film that saved Marvel, or the one that exposed just how fragile the empire has become. At the end of the day, whether Ryan Reynolds truly meant those words, "I won't play with him anymore," or whether it was all blown up by rumor, the damage is already done. The perception of cracks inside Marvel Studios is out in the open, and audiences aren't quick to forget. Every delay, every reshoot, every whisper of star drama only feeds into the idea that the MCU is no longer the unstoppable machine it once was. Think about the contrast. Just 5 years ago, Marvel was riding the high of Endgame, pulling in nearly $3 billion and uniting fans worldwide. Today, its most important project is overshadowed by speculation that two of its biggest stars can't even share the same screen. And that's the danger. When the conversation shifts from characters and storylines to egos and ultimatums, the magic that built the MCU begins to slip away. Fans aren't blind to the stakes. They know that Avengers Doomsday is more than just another crossover. It's Marvel's attempt to prove the universe still works, that the MCU can still deliver spectacle without fracturing under its own scale. But if Reynolds were to walk, or if Downey's power play becomes the defining story, then the film that was supposed to save Marvel might instead become the symbol of its decline. So here's the chilling thought. What if this really is Marvel's Doomsday? Not on screen, but behind the scenes. What if the MCU's biggest battle isn't against Doctor Doom, Kang, or Thanos, but against itself? Because no matter how Disney spins it, the question fans are now asking isn't, what happens in the movie? It's, can Marvel survive its own chaos?